Let me just say before we get anything else out of the way on Great Balls of Fire, I'm looking forward to one match, and it's the pre-show match.
Yeah, Neville and Akira Tozawa.
I may turn this off after the pre-show because that's really all I'm interested in seeing.
Either that or get another bottle of Nikolai vodka.
Or what I'm looking for is Zima. I really want to find Zima, but it's been a difficult quest to find Zima, I must say.
Ever since the passing of Stephen First, you've just had Zima on your mind, haven't you?
The Zocalo, yeah. It's out there, and I will find it. I will find a 6-pack or 2 of Zima to make it through this, and a pack of Jolly Ranchers.
Well said. So, I expect Neville to retain in the pre-show match. Abby, what do you think?
I kind of want to see Tozawa win, but I doubt it'll happen.
I'm in that same camp, too. I'd love to see Tozawa win. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not quite sure how I feel about him being part of Titus Brand, if that kind of sets the ceiling very low for him, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for him to eventually split from Titus worldwide, and that will be hopefully what elevates him beyond his current stature, because right now I don't think he's going very far with that gimmick.
No, there just doesn't seem to be much you can do with that. I mean, that seems to just scream like mid-Carter for life.
Which is unfortunate, because he's way more talented than mid-card for life.
He is, and he deserves it. And hopefully, even if he doesn't win this match, I'd like to see this feud continue. Like he had the feud with Spanky going on there for a while. I'd like to see a feud with Neville now. I'd like to see him kind of get under Neville's skin.
Yeah, I'm all for that. If they're going to have Neville do drawn-out feuds with every talent in the division, if they're going to have a few months with Spanky Tozawa have a few months with Spanky and Neville have a few months with Austin, then everybody can get a few months in a feud. Why not?
Because the more Akira Tozawa is on WWE programming, the more likely I am to watch and the more likely I am to be entertained, unlike the rest of the card.
Yeah, we do have to get to the rest of the card, don't we? So I'm going to start at what I consider to be the literal bottom of the card, Enzo and Big Cass. I don't think there can be anything good to come out of a singles feud between the two of them.
I hope they both die, but I hope Enzo dies first.
Well, he probably will, given the size difference and the fact he is concussion prone.
This is supposed to be a one and done, so let's just hope it is a one and done.
Indeed. I need nothing more than for Big Cass to just squash him and move on. Thank you, good night.
Poor little Enzo.
And it's not that I don't like Enzo, it's just I don't like this feud and it goes nowhere for me. The breakup should have been the end of the feud right there. They shouldn't have even had a match.
Well, you know Vince, he likes to see Enzo get thrown around, so...
That's true.
Or have Enzo in a match on this pay-per-view and then have Cass come in and just murder him and set up a match at the next pay-per-view, but at least build it up.
No, I don't need anything to set up a match between them now or ever. They can both just move on, go their separate ways. Put Enzo in 205 Live and put Cass in the heavyweight picture. Just whatever. Just get them far apart from each other now.
Yeah. Maybe Enzo will learn some new shtick that isn't tired and old and stale if he goes to 205 Live. Maybe, but that's kind of a miracle, isn't it?
Well, speaking of tired shtick, The Miz now has flunkies.
Yay.
What are they calling them? The Miztourage? The Misfits? I forget.
I don't know, and I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it means Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel are still gainfully employed, so yay for them.
Lord.
Yeah, but for the millionth time, The Miz and Dean Ambrose. And The Miz is probably going to retain since he's got 2 flunkies and a hot wife. So I don't see Dean winning this.
Poor Ambrose. He needs a complete reworking or something because this whole lunatic thing has run its course and is not good for anybody.
Well, I don't know if it was a lunatic either. It's kind of like the halfway lunatic.
Was it on SmackDown or was it on Talking Smack where they talked about how Dean was like the failed experiment who hadn't lived up to his promise?
I probably on Talking Smack. I don't know.
So I know that came up somewhere along the line this week, and I was like, that's hitting a little too close to home. There's some truth in this about Dean not being quite.
Well, it wouldn't have been on SmackDown then. It would have been on probably Miz TV.
And Miz TV isn't part of SmackDown?
No, it's part of Raw.
Oh, sorry. What am I saying? Brain fart there, sorry. I'm still used to that little twerp being on SmackDown, even after the draft.
No, they've been moved to Raw now, so.
Yeah, I have to keep reminding myself that's part of Raw. Even though Raw and SmackDown are so homogenous, you can easily mistake anything on one for the other.
Well, considering they're going to start blending the house shows, I'm guessing that this whole brand extension thing and brand split isn't going to last that much longer.
Yeah, especially when they have John Cena basically hinting and not necessarily doing, but teasing that he's a free agent and then putting him on Raw house shows. Yeah.
Brand splits are never a good idea.
Well, if they would commit to it and do it.
Well, if they would commit to it and then make two different shows, they not just, McMahon 101 wrestling on both shows.
Well, they're never going to do that.
No. Well, what else here? We got Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt in a Who the Fuck Cares match.
Seth will win because Bray never wins anything.
Bray is the jobber to the stars.
Well, he certainly has been ever since he lost the world title to Randy Orton.
And before that, too.
Yep.
Yeah, he had like a 1-month run there, and that was it. Most transitional champion of the modern era.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a title you want. So Seth wins, and who the fuck cares? And then we have Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's title.
I don't care. I wish I could care about this. I just don't.
I halfway care because it's Little Miss Bliss, but I've seen Sasha as the champion before, and they never had any faith with her in it for more than a few weeks at a time, so I'm kind of just of the opinion, don't bother to go back to it because you're not going to stick with her. Don't even go there.
Well, if we get to see Izzy dressed in her Alexa Bliss gear, maybe that will catch my attention, but...
No, they're not going to be in the right spot for that.
Damn.
No. And there's no takeover this weekend, so that doesn't help either.
I see Alexa retaining. I don't think they're going to go back to Sasha anytime soon.
No, definitely not. Okay, what else here? Oh, we have the tag team champions defending against Matt and Jeff Hardy in an Iron Man match. So Cesaro and Sheamus retain, I would suspect.
Is every match in this feud going to be a gimmick match?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously. Pretty much. Ladder matches, cage matches.
What, we're going to have a turkey on a pole match for the next rematch here?
Well, maybe the whole idea here is they keep having gimmick matches until the Hardys are finally so fed up they're just completely broken.
Yeah, I've heard that that's not anywhere close to being resolved still. So, or actually, it's
funny.
Like
we got
half and half.
They're WWE. They should just do it and then let their lawyers handle the rest.
Okay, we got two wildly different reports at different parts of this week. One was that they were really close to finally hammering this thing out. And then today we got the one from PW Insider, which was like, hold the phone. Not only are they not close to hammering this out, they couldn't be further apart.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know who to believe or trust or anything anymore.
Well, that's kind of where I go back to my skepticism and cynicism about Impact Wrestling rebranding as Global Force. Okay, it's still the same people in power behind the scenes, the same ones who are being assholes about the whole broken universe thing. So why should I have that much faith?
The only difference is Dixie's not there anymore.
Yeah, well, that should have made things better, and it didn't.
Not yet, anyway.
It was a cursed promotion.
So Cesaro and Sheamus retain, and we move on to Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman in an ambulance match, which I think I teased earlier when we talked about the news.
I don't care.
Again, I want to see Roman Reigns just get murdered, but I don't particularly like Strowman. I just don't care.
All I want is for Braun Strowman to kill him and then say, "I'm not finished with you," and kill him some more.
That works.
Why they're not selling "I'm not finished with you" t-shirts, I'll never know. They could make so much money on that.
Because their little brains don't work that way.
I guess not.
They don't work with logic. They work with whatever it is that Vince McMahon has, which is probably some sort of dementia. I don't know.
Well, to me, that's kind of pointing a finger at the name of the pay-per-view itself. It's like Vince McMahon is obsessed with his grapefruits, and this pay-per-view is called Great Balls of Fire.
Well, that's like Kurt Angle said in an interview. Vince picked the name because he thought it was hilarious. Seriously? That's why, because it tickled your sophomore sense of humor.
Well, that's the same reason Enzo Amore gets thrown around like a ragdoll in matches, because it tickles Vince's funny bone. Well, we got one match at the beginning we can care about, and perhaps one match at the end we can care about. Brock Lesnar defending the Universal Championship against Samoa Joe.
No way Joe's walking out with the strap here.
I'm intrigued by it, but I don't think they're going to let Joe win either.
No, despite Eric Bischoff basically campaigning for it on his podcast, I don't think that's going to happen either. But I figure at least we're getting something out of it that will be physical and intense and fun to watch, even though Joe has no chance in hell of winning.
I wish he would win. I think it would make things better, but
I agree with that.
It would definitely freshen up the scene, and it would put the title on Raw where it would actually be seen once in a while.
It would gain interest from people like me who are like, wow, Samoa Joe is your champion. You know, you actually have the title back, and you've got a guy to actually watch and cheer for as a champion. I don't care if he's a heel. He's awesome.
I'm going to ask for one and only one thing from WWE out of this entire match. I want at least one spot where Joe has Lesnar in the Coquina clutch, and it can be a spot where the referee gets knocked down or knocked out and can't count the pinfall or count the submission and can't do anything about it, but I want to see it applied and Lesnar look like he's in a world of trouble.
I don't know if they'll do that again. We've already seen it once.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We may be asking for too much, but it's what I want. I want it to be in the title match itself.
It would be nice, but I just can't see them doing that again because they're going to protect Brock because Brock has to put over Roman.
Probably. I won't set my hopes too high, but I have to watch this whole thing anyway, so I might as well hope for something.
Yeah, I got to watch it too, unfortunately.
None of us are thrilled about this pay-per-view.
No, we're not, and it's really it's a sad commentary on the state of WWE.
Which I think brings it full circle to what I said to Rusev on Twitter. It's like, you know what? If you're going to complain about everything in WWE, because it's not just Cena's promo that's tired crap. There's a lot of tired crap to go around.
Yeah, and it's like after last weekend with the great New Japan shows, and, you know, now we're back to Raw and SmackDown and crap.
Yeah, that's why I can even totally blur the distinction between Raw and SmackDown this week and who's on what, because after 2 nights of the G1 special, I so didn't care about Raw or SmackDown.
I know.
I didn't care enough to not watch them.
There you go. All right, Thursday night AMP. That's our show, and it's time for some plugs. Jason, what do you have?
Oh, let me plug Canadian football, which I was watching while we were doing our show, and I got to see the BC Lions beat the Montreal, which you can check out Canadian football at cfl.ca. Watch them on TSN. I'll plug AngryMarks.com. I'll plug NJPWWorld.com, the best 999 yen you can spend a month. And I'll plug myself on Twitter at Great Sudoku.
All right, I'll throw out my plugs at AngryMarks on Twitter, and Access TV for replays of the G1 special. They're going to replay night 1 and they're going to air night 2 with English commentary. I know that's not everybody's favorite, but if you've never seen New Japan, at least watch it for the action, even if you have to put it on mute. And Abby, what do you have to plug?
I'll plug Top Rope Press, where you can find me pretty much every day. I will plug myself on Twitter at Abby A, and I will plug Progress On Demand and Rev Pro On Demand. Progress just celebrated their 50th show, which went up went up on their demand site yesterday, and Rev Pro this weekend is having the British J Cup, which will include stars from New Japan and from the British Indies, and it should be great. It should be up on their own demand site on Monday. So definitely give those a look if you haven't already.